Morning in Stone. It's been busy this morning, partly because all the hire boats are coming back, but also because everybody else has decided to move on a Saturday. So there's a bit of a queue for this lock. We're next in. Hooray! Can't remember the amount of times we've actually been through Stone. It's quite a lot. This is your first bit on film look, and it's not right bad. They've had a go architecture wise. They've retained some of the older buildings, and the new ones are sympathetic to the style and heritage of the canal. I'm not sure, but I think this is where Terry Darlington's boat was. But before I tell you the story of Terry Darlington, I'll just make a little note that some of these people in their nice chugging, you know, shiny examples of boats, that one especially, with their Gardner engine from built about 10,000 years ago, polished every time someone breathes on it, can be right miserable fuckers. Getting a smile out of him, it would be easier getting a smile out of a fisherman. But that's the waterways. The waterways are a microcosm of everyday society. Anyway, going back, Terry Darlington. That little boatyard back there, I'm fairly sure that's where this guy called Terry Darlington was moored when he wasn't doing other things. And a part of those other things were he sailed his boat down to the Kent coast and sailed it across to France, and then he sailed it down to the south of France via the Canal du Midi to Carcassonne. And he wrote about these exploits in a book called Narrow Dog to Carcassonne. I'd thoroughly recommend it as one of those sort of interesting reads from the category of complete madness and eccentricity. Why shouldn't you take a narrowboat across the English Channel? Well, for a start, they got a flat bottom, they're not designed for it. And for a second, you got a flat bottom and they're not designed for it. Now you'll see on a lot of these boats, you see that bit at the front, that little tent, and the board at the front. The board at the front is called a cratch. Oh, this whole bit at the front is called your cratch, and the little tent is called a cratch cover. That serves two purposes. One, it kind of gives you an extra little room in the front, which is sort of dry, so you dump all your wet weather gear in there. And the other is it stops all the rain going into your well deck at the front. It's like our well deck, as you'll see, like this one here is open, so it should you get, right, it's got a frame for a cratch cover, but should you get a lot of water hit you on the front, the cratch cover stops it all going into the well deck. Terry didn't have any of that. He just had an open well deck at the front, so one big wave hitting the front would have pushed the front of the boat down like that, and then it would have become a submarine. So anyway, Narrow Dog to Carcassonne is the book. Thoroughly interesting read. But that boat, he had it shipped over to America, and he sailed down the Keys on the east coast of America, like Florida Keys and whatever, and he wrote about that as well. One of the observations he made about that was it looks a lot smaller on a map, as a lot of these things do. Complete eccentricity. He took his whippet with him when he did down to Carcassonne. I don't know if he did when he went to America, but yeah. So he, when he wasn't doing those exploits, his boat was moored back there. And then one fateful day, boat next door caught fire and burnt his boat out. So, out of all those dangerous adventures, there's a boat next door catching fire that finally put an end. I can't remember what his boat was called. Might have to Google it. There's another wonderful book, which I'll come to at another point, called Hops and Glory by Pete Brown, which I'd thoroughly recommend people read. I'll tell you why at another point, because I've twiddled on quite a lot in this little particular section. I'll come back and just do some gentle cruising-y bits in a bit. What you'll notice next to these locks are these little stone stairs, rounded off after years of people plodding up and down them, look. And these aren't by any means faked. That's through years and years of use. Talking of years and years of use, these lock gates were replaced. 2017, 654 kilograms, half a ton each. And bashed into by God knows how many hire boaters and dickhead owners who don't care, and people who always think that they're experts. They're not. Hello, Marley Pup. Soggy dog. Hi, Pickle. Yeah. Broken down. Okay, well, and tradition has it that I need to always capture. Well, I don't need to always capture. I like to try and capture Bridge 101 on all our canal journeys, and this is Bridge 101 on the Trent and Mersey Canal. Hey, how good's that? It's a bonus. A 101A. Oh, look at that. 2 Bridge 101s. Oh, fantastic. That's what we like. We like a little bit of mixing it up, and there's a boat coming the other way, of course, just in time. Meet a boat at a bridge on a bend where there's other boats, but there's no other boats at the moment. This is a little place I do remember from all of the times that we've been past. If you're gonna have an end of garden mooring, and this is the sort of end of garden mooring that you want in the garden. Look at this. Now, believe me, that is not going to be a cheap property. And I'll tell you why I know it's not a cheap property. Because if it's Savills, then it's starting at about £1 million. They've got their own little lock up there, look. Now that's a fanatic's dream. I'd have it. Look at that. There we go. I might give Savills a call just to see, but I think, yeah, probably for this one here. Whew. I'd say about one and a half. Definitely 1.5. Possibly, depending on if it comes with all that, possibly more. Yeah, definitely think that's out of my league at the moment. But what a lovely place would that be, just to have your own little mooring, your own lock. That's about as good as it gets. I'll have to find the number for the woman I dealt with at Savills when we sold Kenroy's properties, and see whether she can get me the inside info on it, because they don't usually like talking to people unless you fax them, or I suppose these days you'd email them a copy of your bank statement, because they can be a little bit elitist. Can Savills? They didn't like dealing with me until we told them that one of the properties was probably worth somewhere in the region of 3.5 million, and then they was quite happy to deal with me. I think it was on sufferance. Isn't that nice? And it eventually went for a tad under 4.5 million. So I love those stories, you know, of the guy who walks into the... Is that beautiful? Look at that. How much time have they put into that? That is lovely. Well done, you, whoever you are, well done. Yeah, those stories that you hear, the guy who walks into the Rolls-Royce dealership and looks at the Silver Spirit and says, oh yeah, I quite like that, can I have a test drive? And they say, I'm sorry sir, I think that's probably a little bit beyond your means, and we don't really have anything here we think would suit you. Would you leave? And he puts the carrier bag down and tips it up, and it's full of £50 notes, and there's about £150,000 worth in there. I'm sure that has happened. I mean, everybody hears those stories, don't they? But it's kind of like, very much what happened when Kenroy bought his what was it, Bentley Mulsanne or something. Stupidly fast, stupidly comfortable, but also commensurately stupidly expensive. And he pulled up outside British Aerospace in it and got out, and security came over and said, "Who are you here to collect, boy?" Oh dear. "Who are you here to collect, boy?" Okay, now. Kenroy was black, by the way. That's the sort of like that's the subtext of that particular little story. Anyway, right. Onward we go. And I'm definitely going to phone Savills and ask how much that house is. Now that is a name synonymous with the Potteries. One of the most famous names. Mind you, we didn't do it on this trip, but there's also back towards Nottingham Way is the Armitage Shanks factory, which is sort of ceramics, but not quite. Well, so I suppose it is pottery, isn't it, really? Just as valid, different sort, but pottery, just the same. Hello. Oops. Zoom out. If you're going to have, excuse me, if you're going to have a boat business, that's the sort of boat beer business to have. Now the place we're coming up to now is one of those other really eccentric things that you find on the Canal network, which does just about everything. If they've still got the sign up, shooting, country dancing, boat repairs. I'm trying to remember, it was probably 2018, so it's only 3 years ago we last came up here, when we collected the boat from Jeff and Sandra. So I think I'm allowed to have a little bit of half decent memory of this particular leg of the journey. It's yoghurt pot heaven, look. A rather derogatory term. I said I wasn't going to use that term again. Or plastics. These are cruisers, what are known as cruisers. They're made of fiberglass plastic, and consequently they're a little fragile if hit by 26 tons of steel narrowboat. Country and western line dancing, boat engines, archery, air guns, tackle and bait. The only thing they don't do Is control their dogs? No. We're in Stoke, boys and girls. We're in Stoke. Now this could be embarrassing, guys, because there's this little tunnel that comes in up to the lock. The lock is emptying. I don't know whether there's a boat in there. Of course there's not a boat in there. That would be stupid. So this apparently is lock number 2 of the Stoke 5. Good. Excuse me. Now that is synonymous with the Potteries, and thankfully there's a few of them have been saved. In amongst these, I don't know what to call them really. These boxes. Aren't they lovely? Where are we going? We is approaching in a lock or two Etruria. Looks like something positive might be happening to that. Hopefully not just allowed to crumble, which is what a lot of old listed buildings, they chuck a bit of scaffolding up and then the scaffolding company superficially goes bust, and then the facade of the building is deemed to be beyond repair, and then a developer will come along and build some shit. Stoke, not a lot of people know, but there isn't really like a Stoke. I think Stoke is made up of 7, is it? 7 different like little town bits. So you got Hanley and Burslem, and you know, that's kind of like how it works. And I do like Stoke because it's the home of the North Staffordshire oatcake, and I'm a bit of an oatcake aficionado. The 2 favourite ones are from, or they were, from High Lane. I don't know now whether High Lane are still as good because they were purchased recently by Potteries. But yeah, the ones that I really do like are from Hamill Road, and neither of those are near a canal. It's a bit of a shit. Now this is a strange little lock, this one, because there's an arm goes off to the right and the lock is on the left. And this little arm, last time we came up, oh, there's a boat coming out. Isn't that just fantastic? Oh. So I'll just back up and let this boat come out, shall I? Oh. So that was easy enough. Yes, so as I was going to say, there's a bit off to the right has a load of old working boats, and they're still here. So they'll have just picked that boat up from the marina where we are about to rest, mustn't grumble, for a couple of days while we go back to Sheffield to work. Oh, look at me just gliding in effortlessly. Almost. We are at Etruria. How about that? So now all we're doing is popping into the marina just around the corner here. Then when we return at the end of next week, we'll be going up there into the Canal. So all these now have just come out of the marina that we're going into. And the person who runs the marina said when the last hire boats are gone, I'm going to bugger off home. So we've made it here just in time by the look of it. Otherwise Charlotte was due to be cycling up to collect the keys so we could get in and out, because it is a secured marina. So we're in Hanley. I think that building's a little bit strange. What do you make of this fucker? Complete with its owls at top. It's a better view, and this is, as one would expect from the ever so slightly brutalist lack of windows, it's a substation, and it's the equivalent of what we've got at the Ecky Road roundabout at the end of the moor, except slightly less brutalist. Quite nice if you like that sort of building though. So there'll be God knows how many gigawatts going through there, enough to power every illicit grow room in Stoke. It's a carvery. Is it a harvester, Toby? One of those sort of things. Let's see out there. Toby. So I got to the marina about 3 o'clock. Really had to push that last bit just to get here before they closed. It's not my favourite sort of marina. It's one of those with, I don't know if I can show you, that moves a lot. Those move lots. Marley will hate it. Definitely not my favourite. But you know what I was saying about eccentricity? Well, this boat's got the TARDIS doors on the back, along with your cat flap, so can allow a little eccentricity. We walked into Hanley. The bit where we found a bottle shop is quite nice, but fucking hell, it is still run down and pretty neglected, which is a shame. some nice buildings there. I found local, oh, you've probably seen it, electricity substation. I don't know how these videos line up until I come to edit them. But yeah, we had a tiny little bit of rain today. Got a lovely aroma of whatever they've got in the carvery over there. Tomorrow, back to Sheffield and leave little old Muscle Grumble here for 5 days, and then off to do what Charlotte keeps calling the Caledonian. So we're going to have Muscle Grumble pulled out of the water, put on a low loader and taken up to Scotland. No, we're not. We're going to do the Calden down to Leek, and then there's another little bit, there's another arm as well, so we're going to do the whole lot. For now, that's it. If you like this complete twaddle, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. It'd be lovely having you. I'd be honoured. It'd be great to have you. And if you click the little button that says like, it tells YouTube's algorithm that it can recommend these silly things to other people. And when you subscribe, if you click the little bell thing, it notifies you next time I post something silly. Until next time, thanks for watching. Whatever you're doing, do it safely. Take care and cheers.